Hi guys, you join me in session. I'm back down at St Ives Fishery. This time join me on Lagoon Lake. Got 48 hours in front of me. I have been down for a few more days. I spent the last couple of days over the road on meadow and shallow pit. Fishing very hard over there at the moment. Ever since spawning, the fish over there have been very moody. We did have a big southwesterly come in this week and I thought that might stir them up, but for whatever reason it hasn't. I thought the best chance for a fish or two with a couple of nights to go would be to come across the road onto Lagoon and have a go on here. This lake is steeped in history, probably the most famous lake on the whole complex, famed for the fat lady, and it's an absolutely stunning lake. It's got some absolutely stunning fish in here as well. Like I've said before, there's a common in here I'd love to catch. So I've come into this swim. I'm on the end of the southwesterly wind, blowing right into this corner. It's very weedy out there. I spent the last hour and a half, 2 hours looking for spots, and I found what I wanted. I've got a rod at 30, 40 and 50 yards. I'll explain my thinking behind that later on and why I've done what I'm doing. I'll go into my baits, rigs, tactics and everything else. Later on give you a look at the swim. But for now I'm going to chill out, put the kettle on, put a little bit more bait out, and hopefully tonight or tomorrow morning I might have a fish or two to show you. But until then, catch you guys later. Cheers guys. Well, good evening guys. We're heading into the first evening now. Rods are out, baits on top of them. Hopefully the fish turn up and I'll have a fish or two to show you guys. But at the moment I just want to talk about a subject I touched on earlier about line angles. Now when I approach a swim, if I'm fishing 3 different spots, I put my rods in a position that the fish hopefully won't come in contact with another line before they come in contact with the baited area. So like in this swim, the bank's here, so I'm looking for a long rod, a middle rod and a short rod on a diagonal. So my right hand rod is a long rod, then a middle rod, then my left hand rod is a short rod. So if the fish come from above or this way, obviously they can't come this way because there's a bank here, or this way, they'll come into contact with the baited area without having to go across another line. And if I was on another bank with the bank this side, it would be the opposite way. Left hand rod, longest rod, middle rod and then short rod on that diagonal. Same difference, fish come in contact with that first. Now if I'm on a straight bank and I'm in the middle of the bank, then I look for a triangle. So my longest rod is the middle rod, then outside rod's shorter. Distance doesn't matter, it could be 100 yards, 30 yards, 40 yards, same on the diagonal, 100 yards, 40 yards, 20 yards, whatever. Doesn't matter, that distance doesn't matter, it's about fish not coming in contact with another line and potentially spooking out your swim. So when you've got a diagonal, you've got your long rod, so if they come this way, they come into contact at first, this way or this way, then the outside rods, or a bit further out, the middle rod again. It's the same thing as fishing one rod either side of the margin, then a rod further out, you've got that triangle. And I think this makes a big difference. It's a big edge, and it's just food for thought. And like I said, it's just my opinion, but I do think it puts me a lot more extra fish on the bank. Definitely gives me more confidence, and as I say, confidence is key. I know you can't predict what other anglers are going to do or where the spots are in the swim, but if you can do it, you can do it. Like if you're fishing three baits on the same spot, it doesn't really matter. You're in a line, that's where they're coming. Doesn't matter. If you've got 2 and 1, same principle, that way or that way, or you know, your long rod. But I do think when you approach a swim, it's worth considering. If you're on a busy water where there's people either side of you, just sit back and see what they're doing. And if you can alter your line compared to them as well, make a big difference. And I know this is not always possible, but it's definitely worth thinking about. And this is why I think on busy waters, where you've got a line of anglers, the guy fishing the furthest out into the pond, fishing long range, catches more fish. It's not because he's fishing long range, okay, the fish could be out there, but generally the fish are being pushed out because of pressure and lines. And that guy fishing furthest out in the pond, it's because the fish come into contact with his line first. If they come this way, contact his bait area. This way or this way, contact his baited area. So he's getting round everybody else's line angles by fishing past them. And it definitely makes a big difference. It's just something worth thinking about. I mean, I could talk about it all day and I could go into a lot more detail and delve deeper into that subject, but for now it's just a little glimpse about that. And hopefully next time you come into a swim, it helps you think about where you're going to put your rods, and hopefully it'll put you more fish on the bank. But for now, I'm going to sit back, relax, enjoy this evening sunshine, and hopefully a fish will turn up later on or tonight. I'll give you a little look at the swim in a minute, but for now, cheers guys, catch you guys later. Right guys, let's give you a little look at my swim. I'm on Lagoon Lake. As we come into the swim, you can see my bivvy there at the front of the swim. Beautiful lake, this one. Good thing about this lake as well, very easy access. There's my car just up there. As we come into the front of the swim, there's my rods down there. Let's take you for a look at the swim, where my spots are, and what I'm doing. Come out onto the lake. Don't have to wade to cast here, but it does make it a little bit easier, so I've chose to do that. So my first rod is just out there, about 30 yards out, a nice clear spot. Then I've come across over here to 40 yards, and then as I come round, 50 yards. I'm on the end of a southwesterly, the end of the lake. My thinking behind going 30, 40 and 50 yards is, regardless whether the fish come from left to right or from across the lake onto me, they'll come onto a baited spot without crossing another line. And I do think hard about line lay, line angles, and where the fish will come into contact and how one rod will affect another rod. And I think if you look at that as you come into a swim, and how it's going to affect the way the fish travel, and as they come onto your baited spot, it is a big edge and it will put you extra fish on the bank. I know it's only a little thing, but I do think it can make a big difference, especially on pressured waters where the fish don't particularly like line. It's a great edge. Well, there you are guys, it's a little look at my swim. So come back out the water. Hopefully I'll be able to put a fish or two on the bank to show you some of the beautiful fish that inhabit this lake. But until then, catch you guys later. Cheers guys. Well, good morning guys. Very quiet night last night. About mid-morning now. And I'll give it another couple of hours. Once we get past bite time, I'll go for a walk around the lake, see if I can find some fish. If not, I'll stick it out in this swim for the last night. We'll see what happens. I did put a lot of disturbance into this swim yesterday, spent a long time looking for spots, and obviously spotted my bait out, so maybe that's pushed the fish out, maybe they weren't here in the first place. So maybe tonight there's a better chance. Like I said, the whole complex is fishing very, very difficult at the moment. I've not heard of any fish coming out of any of the lakes for a while now. It's tough going, so any fish is a massive result at the minute. But I'm going to have a cup of tea, have some breakfast, get myself around the lake, have a look, get back, make a plan for tonight. So until later on, cheers guys. Well guys, it's about dinner time now. I spent the last couple of hours walking around the lake trying to find some fish, and I've not seen a thing. For whatever reason at the moment the fish just aren't showing, not giving themselves away, and when it's like that it's very, very difficult to fish for something you just can't find. So all I can do is go on the conditions. Wind's blowing into this corner, so I'm happy to stay here and hope some fish turn up, and they turn up where they should do. But at the moment they're not playing by the rule book, and it is tough going. It's like it on all the lakes. Normally I'm not really a static angler unless I see fish. I don't fish there, but what can you do? If you can't find them, then you just got to make an educated guess. And this spot's as good as any really. So I'll get the rods out again in a minute, put a bit more bait over top of them, and just sit back and wait and hope. So unless anything else happens, I'll see you guys tomorrow morning and I'll give you a final rundown of the session. For now, cheers guys. Well guys, that's it, end of session. Didn't happen on this trip. I did everything I could. I'm really putting the effort in at the moment. I'm sort of dotting myself around any lake, just trying to find any fish, just trying to grind out a result at the minute. It's tough. I think everyone down here is finding it tough at the minute. It's just one of them periods the fish are going through after spawning, and hopefully within the next week or two things will get back to normal a little bit and we can start to put a few fish on the bank. I'll keep trying, keep grinding, keep putting the effort in, and eventually it'll pay off, and hopefully I can share a few of these beautiful fish from these waters with you guys. But for now, thanks for watching. Tight lines. I hope I'll see you on the bank sometime. Cheers guys.